Today is not super structured. I do have a few things I want to share from that are left over from yesterday after I went through the chat and read all of your questions and comments. I had a few things I wanted to share. I definitely want to share with you about becoming. Um, that's super exciting. There are some women who've already jumped in and said yes. And I want to answer questions that you have about that and share more because I know that I've gotten a lot of questions, so I can put all the answers right here. I was in such awe by how much everyone was sharing and engaging and supporting each other and finding their people. I connect with that. I feel the same way, letting each other know that you're not alone, you're not the only one who's struggling in that way. Because some of you, and probably many of you, don't know other women who feel this way in their mother-daughter relationship. And I've watched it happen over and over that when you find those people, it's like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one. I don't feel like I can talk to any of my friends about my struggles in my relationship. And it feels so good to realize you're not the only one. It's not you. You didn't screw this all up. You're not to blame, right? And that there are very real reasons why these things happen in our relationships. So that was wonderful to be witnessing that. And also, to watch you just connect with each other, and be so open and know, like, okay, my name is on this screen, and I'm going to put myself out there and share my story, maybe for the first time with somebody really honestly and vulnerably. So, I thank you for that, and I witnessed that happen over and over yesterday. So some of the top questions that came in for the workshop were around estrangement and what if you are not in a place where you have any communication at all? Like, what do you do? And my really simple answer to that, which I'll expand on, is you start with you. You start untangling the pieces of, what has happened? How did we get here? What has she told me that I maybe dismissed in the past or I didn't realize was pain that she was carrying around? What did she express to me maybe in a really angry way? And this is for mothers specifically, this part. What did she express to me in a really angry way that maybe I just totally shut off, shut down, protected myself because I didn't agree with what she was saying? Those weren't the facts. And I invite you to gather that evidence, what she said in the past, what she has expressed, what has happened, the things along. I do this timeline activity with my clients where we identify what has happened over time at different points in your relationship, different points in your life, at different points in her life. And we start to gather the evidence of what has broken down here and what do we need to pay attention to. So not only that, but then you also look within, right? Of, dealing with the grief and the sadness and the loneliness, maybe what you're left with. Of potentially losing that relationship or feeling like it's gone. Um, that's where we start. So we don't start by reaching out and connecting or sending a letter or giving her a call or showing up at her door, right? We start by looking within and really sitting with what has happened here. And really sitting in community like you did yesterday, sitting in community with other women who get it, who've been there, and who maybe are a little bit farther down on that path, right? Who've maybe been in that place for a while. I know, a lot of times when women find me, especially mothers who have estrangement with their daughters, they find me after learning about estrangement, after working through different various programs. And I will be honest with you, this is not something that I necessarily have specialized in. I'm not an expert in estrangement by any means. This is something that has kind of shown up for me with the women that I've been helping in the last year and a half that this is something that they're facing in their relationships. And so I've grown and expanded and really provided them my framework of the mother-daughter relationship and what we need to understand and what daughters need. And we start from there. Let me know if this is resonating with, if there's some of you on the call who asked that question, who are in that situation. Let me know how this is resonating with you. And if there are other specific questions around that, around, how do we deal with the silence? Because I know, some daughters, the estrangement or the cutoff is on and off. It's not because it's not that it has been 5 years straight, right? But it lets you back in, then you're cut off again, then you get silence, then you don't hear from them. So it can look a variety of ways. Do you think the longer the situation goes on, the harder it is to reconnect? Yes, it is on and off. Okay, so yeah, off and on for two of you at least. I think the longer the situation goes on, oh wait, I hear somebody here. The longer the situation goes on, it can be more difficult because you've both settled into your own patterns and routines and your lives really without each other there. What I know to be true about daughters is they always crave the love and acceptance of their mom. They may not directly ask for that. They may not say that. They may not reach out and say, I miss you when they do, or when they're feeling sad. But that love is hard to turn off. So it really depends on your situation, your relationship, what's happened, as far as how we go about healing that. But what we can do, right? We can't change her, we can't force her, we can't trick her into a relationship or into talking. But what we can do is help you work on yourself, within yourself, showing up as who you want to be in that relationship and within the relationship with yourself. And then if that feels like something she wants, she's interested in, right? Oh, that's interesting. I think I said this yesterday in the call. That's interesting. This seems different. I'm going to take a second to get curious about this and see, is this something that is long lasting? Is this a fleeting moment? Did she have a therapist write this for her? A number of people told me that this week, that they can't say what I'm going to say, what I say, because I sound like a therapist. And I said, okay, you're right. I do. I can't help but talk that way. And so we just have to put it into your words, right? It has to sound like you, but it has to be you. It can't be something I've written and I've handed you and I say, go ahead and, send this to your daughter, right? It's like, it is your words, it's your thoughts, it's what you're embodying, it's what you want her to know. It is true. So then if she does call you and say, let's talk about this message you left me or this letter you sent me, that what you say in that conversation matches what you wrote on that paper, right? But in order to do that, you have to learn, what does she need from me? Where did I get this wrong? What was I missing? What do I know now? What did she need that I didn't give her that I can give now? Right? It has to sound different and it will do different if you're doing the work. Okay, another question I got was, what if I don't even know what I did wrong? That is where we gather the evidence. We learn about your relationship, we learn about you, we learn about your daughter, and we put it all together to understand, where did it go wrong, right? And we may not get every single point, but we get enough that we start to understand, this is what's happened, this is what's gotten in the way. And a lot of that evidence comes from the history, right? Not only what's happened between the two of you within your relationship, but it comes from generations past. We look at the women in your family, how they were impacted by everyone else within the family. The relationships that people had. Were there other cutoffs within the family? Maybe this isn't something even that's new within your family. How did everyone deal with conflict? How did everyone deal with emotions? So that's how we gather the evidence. We look at letters, we look at communication, we put it all together. And when I'm speaking like this, that's when I'm working with my clients. That's what we do is we put all of that together. It's certainly something you could do for yourself. You have to be able to look at it differently. You have to be able to read it and see here's the evidence, not this is the pain, right? This is what the pain she's caused me, but really trying to look at it in a neutral way, which is what I would do, right? Is to see, okay, what do we have here? What are we working with? What's happened? Um, and really holding softness and empathy for you and knowing that some of these things are a result of actions you've taken, right? But knowing that I have to protect myself here as well. I have to own it. I have to show responsibility. Someone in the Facebook group today, I cannot remember her name, maybe Darlene, had said something in the group, and I said, I can just tell, you're owning this, you're aware of it. And it was, oh, Darlene, you're here. Was that you? Hi. Um, but it was really lovely to read because that responsibility for yourself is what is necessary in healing these relationships, is really being aware of yourself, what you've done, what you bring, what you can do differently, that awareness of yourself. Okay, let me jump into, I see some questions in the chat. So let me jump in here. Um, yeah, Molly said that I thought the discussion about archetypes was so interesting. It made me realize how the mother-daughter dynamic is so fluid and changes as the mothers and daughters go through different phases of their lives. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about the stages that mothers and daughters go through and how they change and how we really do need to be flexible and understand, okay, this is coming up and this is how I need to engage with her or receive her or ask for what I need. And that's on both sides. That's many times I'd shared yesterday that many times mothers and daughters find me after they have some kind of rupture within the family, right? That they can't get past. Sometimes it's just happened like the week before. Other times it's been months and they realize they can't work through it on their own. But not only is there a rupture, but there's usually a change, a shift in where they are in the relationship. Like maybe the daughter has recently gotten married, or she's had a baby, or she's about to get married, or she's become a young adult. Like there is usually a change within the stage of their relationship that makes things trickier because she needs different things. Both of you need different things. And that's not something we're taught how to navigate, of course, right? I have all kinds of um, reels on my feed about menopause and perimenopause, and I'm just reminded every day about how much as women we have really truly been neglected in the information and the research of, what we really need. And this is one of them. You going through the program, everyone's going to get the same modules every 2 weeks, right? So the modules are going to have 8 to 10 lessons inside that focus on, one topic. And so let's say, one is the history, right? Let's uncover kind of what's happened here and what's the history in your relationship. And so everyone's going to do that with their own unique relationships, and you're going to start to uncover different pieces, right? There's a module all about you, self-awareness, self-responsibility. I should have had my list ready to go with all of the different lessons, but where you're going to focus on your own um, self and what you're bringing to the relationship, right? To be able to work through that piece, and then within those 2 weeks or month. So you would get within the 2 weeks, you would get a coaching call with me. You would get a call with the other women in the group. So a peer call. So people, you can see each other face to face, talk like this, connect. It'd be a smaller group. Depending on how many we have, I'd probably break you up into smaller groups where your stories are more similar or more connected. And so you'll be able to connect with each other. I'll give you work to do on that call, prompts and different questions to answer, and have you really connect with each other on your stories. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I was thinking about. Here, I had a conversation with my daughter about this. This is what happened. So you really can talk more freely and have more time with each other when you do that. And then once a month, we'll have that mother-daughter call, where either mothers and daughters can come together or you can come alone, and we'll be working on communication. So we'll be practicing that, right? If it's a
Okay.
couple, you'll actually be practicing together. If you're there by yourself, you'll be practicing with a partner. And so we're working on that communication and using your own relationship as an example.
Okay. So everybody's story is going to be different. It doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
You're going to just work on it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just gonna work on it. You're gonna connect with each other, and you're gonna see all the similarities between where you are, right? Everyone has their unique history, right? You are unique, but the dynamics within your relationships are going to overlap. The things that have happened in your relationships, the way that the other has treated you, whether it's your mother or your daughter, those things are going to overlap. You're gonna see the similarities between your
Mhm.
relationships and the things that have gotten in the way and how similar those things are, as well as what the heck do I do now, right? We're not just going to open it up and, pull it apart and understand it. You're also going to learn, what do I do with this?
Okay.
How do I change this? Thank you for that question.
Thanks, Hillary.
You're welcome. Okay. Lorraine said, the pattern I'm experiencing is that she will contact me when she needs help with anything, but that is the only time. Yeah. Um, That is, can anybody else relate to that? That is, I hear that a lot. It's typically a more transactional relationship of like, when I need you, I want you to be there, right? But not reaching out to spend time together, connect with each other. Hey, I watched this fun show last night. You should watch it too. Do you want to come over and have dinner? Can I stop by with the kids? Those are the connecting, more emotional connection, that you want in your relationship. And so what typically that means is there's emotional distance there. So she's sort of maybe stopped engaging with you in that way and keeps you at a distance. I'm looking for you, Lorraine, but I don't see you. Um, and there you are. So she's not actually engaging with you on a deeper level. So she's put a wall up to protect herself, for some reason. I'm not sure why. You can let me know if that feels on track or if there's something else I can help with or understand to give you a better answer. Okay. Sherry, you said that any contact you have is negative right now. That's why you're here. Um, Lorraine, if you want to turn your microphone on, you're welcome to talk more if there's more I can help you with. If anyone
Hi,
has a question. Okay, there you are.
you hear me? Hello
Yes.
there.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, yeah, yeah, that makes sense to me actually, that she's just protecting herself. But I just don't understand what she's protecting herself from. It just feels very complicated. I can't seem to pull a thread to find the
Mm,
beginning of it all. Um, there has been so many things happen, and it's obviously we haven't got time to talk about it, but she has a very kind of superficial relationship with her father. We've been separated for a long time, and I think she can't get angry at him because she's an empath like me. We're very similar, so she sees his vulnerability, so she carries his vulnerability. So I feel because she does that, I have to get the backlash probably.
mm.
Somebody has
She
to,
feels more comfortable or safer with you, which is the truth for most moms,
yeah.
is we sort of get that the most unpolished version of our kids.
Hmm. But like I said earlier in the chat, that I totally understand. I do lots of work on myself on a spiritual level, and I understand that it's all about the family lineage for sure. Um,
Hmm.
and when you're in it, it's very hard to step away to because we're conditioned. We've all been conditioned by
Hmm.
our own upbringings, you know. Um, but you know, I've
You,
always been. Sorry.
sorry, I was going to say, even as someone within our own relationship, when we consider it, and even in this moment, you might be flashing back to bigger points in time in your relationship, or things that have happened in, if you're a mother, things that have happened in your child's life that you feel like were big and mean something. But
Mm,
that those same, flashpoints that you keep going back to may not always be the issues. They may not be the action. They
yeah,
may not, are most likely not the same ones, for your daughter. Not the same
yeah.
exact ones anyway.
I mean, ever since she was a little girl, she's a very sensitive soul. You know, like I recognize it because I'm too that. She's always been very difficult to get to speak. It's like she carries it into her boots, you know. And I used to give her so many opportunities to talk. You know, it would drain me in the end because it was so draining. Because I'd sit with her for hours sometimes, and I'd play like a bit like, you know, role playing with her,
Right, right,
get us
like
to say
games.
things.
Yeah.
And I say to
Hmm.
her, you know, let's have a code here. If you really want to tell me something, then let's have a code that you just nudged me, you know. It went on, it's gone on forever. She's always been the same as a little child. She's a very, very deep, sensitive child. So it's always been tricky.
How old is she?
She's 23 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so some of this is how to build that connection without a lot of talking.
Yeah.
Without
Yes.
that, you can feel close and enjoy each other because
Yeah.
she's in your life. She's engaging with you, right? She just
Yeah.
is not sharing that much.
No, that's right. But I think it's
Yeah.
difficult at the moment because she's traveling. She's in Australia. She's doing a 3-year work visa thing, and she's been to university for 3 years, and so she's become very independent. Um, and I think maybe I just have to be patient and think that, you know, as time goes, she knows I'm here, and I make it very clear to her that I'm here. And I go to Australia.
Hmm.
You know, I've been to Australia to see her. I'm going again in a few weeks' time in the school holidays, and I come away feeling so down because maybe I don't know whether I'm trying too hard. I think it's the strange one. It's when you want to see your mother as a strong figure. And I think when I see her, I become vulnerable, and I don't think she likes it. I get that. She doesn't want to see me looking vulnerable. I feel that's what it's part.
Mm,
It's like I need to be tougher and just ignore her moods and ignore her, you know, but it just physically gets to me, you know.
right. So that might be when I shared yesterday about how we look at our mothers as kind of our guide for being a woman, and we reject the things we don't want to repeat.
Yes.
So we don't do those, right? We do the opposite, or maybe learn how to do it differently.
Yeah.
Um, but also we might actually reject our mom when she's doing those things. So that it could be something that she does bother her.
Yeah.
Like you said, she avoids that piece. Um,
Yeah.
it could be really hard for her to be vulnerable, or it could be hard. Many daughters feel the responsibility of taking care of their mom's feelings.
Yeah.
That they're the ones, they don't have a partner, right? Who do that.
Yeah.
That Yeah, that they feel the pressure themselves. Like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, I have to do it, but I don't want to do it, right? And so
No.
some of them refuse, and then they don't engage emotionally at all. So,
Yeah.
but you said something that I hear often, is maybe I'll just be patient and wait. And I mean, it really depends on the situation, but I'm not a big be patient and wait kind of person, especially when we're talking about um, our relationships, because again, that I came from a place of working with kids and working with teenagers, and I would hear moms say this all the time. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for her to get a little bit older. I'm gonna wait for her to,
Mm.
graduate high school and go to college, or graduate college and, become a young woman. And you're then in the meantime, you're all these years are going by where you don't
Yeah,
have the connection, right? You haven't broken through what that barrier is for her.
yeah.
And she may not be able to tell you, okay, mom, here's exactly what's happening. Here's how I'm feeling. Here's what I need from you. Can you do that? Right? If she doesn't have those language skills, but um, what you can do is unravel it, is start unraveling it and understanding what's happened, what could go into it, and then start speaking to those pieces in a way that she can hear, in a way that she's not going to reject,
Mm,
in a way that isn't going to make her feel that's like that's too much. I don't want to engage with that, right?
mm.
That and do it confidently too, right? Not that
Yes.
you're not taking like a script from me and
No.
applying it to your relationship. You're taking something that we've created together in your words, and you're embodying that works for you and feels right for you, and
Mm,
offering that to her. So I I want to speak to that piece about being patient because you certainly can. But if nobody's trying, if nobody's
yes.
working on changing anything, how is anything going to change?
No,
Right.
that's
And
absolutely right. Yeah, it's just how you do it, isn't it? You've got to be very careful how you sort of tread
mhm.
carefully in a sense, you know.
Yeah. And some of my clients who've worked with me for a long time, or even, I mean, not like years and years, but even just like known me for a year or less, could speak to, you just start using this language. It starts to become your own. You start to understand, how your daughter wants to hear from you. You start practicing and saying things and see, oh, that worked. She liked that. I'm going to do that more, or I'm going to use that in this situation. So it just starts to become the new way that you speak
Yes.
as well.
Yeah. Like you say, it's very much about looking in it yourself, which I've been doing a lot of lately.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. Yep. Because it begins, I mean, you're the one that's here, right? You're the one that
mm,
wants to work on this.
yeah,
And so you're the one that can create the change.
yeah.
I have had clients say to me, why do I have to do all the work? Why is it always me doing the work? And I totally get it, especially as a mom. We've done so many things. We're always doing things. We're always giving, right?
Mm,
Um, but we're doing the work because the other person's saying, I don't want a relationship with you.
yeah,
I don't want what we have. I don't like it. I want to send it back, right?
yeah,
So it's up to us to make the changes, right?
yeah,
Especially if their changes, I'm just going to push you away. I don't want you in my life, right?
yeah,
If we want a shot at having the relationship or improving it, we are the ones doing the work until they're ready to join, right? And
yeah,
maybe that's not necessarily with a professional, but they're ready to join in having these conversations or join in, changing the way you interact or communicate with each other.
yeah. I suppose they find it harder as the time goes by to reach out to you and show their emotions because they're frightened in case they don't get the right response.
Hmm. And there's so many things that as daughters we want, and that it's just across the board. And you're a daughter yourself. You know, we want to feel understood, right?
Yeah.
We want to feel heard and understood. And so, moms, they have to learn, how do I do that? How do I make sure she feels that way?
Mm,
Right? Not just, pretending. It's just like, how do I actually understand her?
yeah. That's right. I'm picking. The thing is, you have children, and when they're young, you feel as if you understand them and know them, and then they grow up, and it's like, oh, gosh, I don't know you anymore because so many sides to them, aren't there, as they grow, as they sort of become an adult, you know. And you
Hmm.
kind of feel like, wow, I've got to get to know you all over again.
Can you say something about the husband or father's role in supporting a reconnection between mother and daughter? Yes, I can. So what I was saying yesterday is that their role is critical, especially if they're in any kind of contact with your daughter and she's not in contact with you because she's saying it's, a mother-daughter issue. Um, their role is to support that relationship. And really, I mean, that goes for any relationship in the family that, that the other parent or the parents would stand up and say, this isn't what we do in our family. We work through things, we talk through things. We're not going to, just sit by and let this happen. You love each other. There's a lot of love here, or whatever the case is in that relationship. But I'm not going to let this happen in my family. And I've worked with some dads who just really wanted to fight for it, but just didn't know how. They didn't know what to say or what to do. And that was where I came in and helped them to be able to have the language, because they had the opportunity. They were still in contact with their daughter, had a fine relationship with her, and so part of it is them listening, um, and asking the right questions and reaching out, and not having it be too much, but also not avoiding it, not ignoring that that's happening. So really, it's for them knowing they might sacrifice their own relationship with their daughter by doing that. But in the meantime, the family's fractured, right? And they're not supporting their partner. And for me, the partners are a team, especially in parenting. So that's my thought on that, is that they have a big role to play, and I've worked with families where the dad's really involved, and encouraging that relationship and that connection, and not just saying call your mom, actually talking about what's going on, how they feel. Okay, I did see a question earlier about working privately together. So I really have designed Becoming so that you get close contact with me and a lot of support. So some people I like working one-on-one with people as well. I enjoy that. I like being able to ask my questions, getting my answers, but I also know that being on calls with other people, like I'm in, business coaching communities and things like that, where that person is a totally different business than mine. But if they're asking a question and I think, oh, I can use that piece. I like that. I want to do that, right? Or I can learn from their journey. And so this combination of, being able to connect with me and get time by asking your questions, but also being in a community with other women who are experiencing the emotional distance in their relationship, um, you can learn so much from their stories and the actions they're taking, and be inspired by, oh wow, we came in at the same time, and 3 weeks in she got this, and and see how she did that, and then work on that in your relationship as well. There's just so much growth that can happen when we're in community with each other. Not to mention, I think I was saying yesterday, um, that just being able to talk to other women who are feeling that distance in your relationship. Because so many of my clients I'll see, and they'll say, I can't even tell people in my life about this. I can't even say, I'm not talking to my mom right now. Or I can't tell my neighbors that my daughter's not coming home to visit because she doesn't want to see me. That people aren't going to get it. And that's not the case here, as you can see, right? You all have these similarities in your stories and what you're going through, and other people here are going to get that. Not to mention, of course, having the answers and understanding um, what's possible for you. I got a really good question. I think it was in my email, from an adult daughter, um, who really wanted to work to understand her mother, and kind of untangle the pain that she's been caused, and not necessarily working to heal the distance, repair the relationship, but really work on healing the pain that she's feeling from having to create the distance, and protect herself. And so I felt important to say that's absolutely something that you can do here. My whole goal is all about healing, ideally together, but that's not always possible, right? I'm working with whoever is in the room, and sometimes a mother and daughter have different goals. One might want to heal and have a really close relationship, and the other one might want to heal their own heart and understand what happened, but not be sure. I'm not sure if I really want the relationship that we had before, because that didn't really work for me that well. So sometimes healing can look different. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it together. It really is about healing so we're not repeating patterns, right? So that we can do it, we can approach it in a new way, move in a new direction, create new patterns that serve you especially, but your relationships in a better way. See what else I wanted to tell you about becoming. So we've got the coaching calls with me. We've got every 2 weeks starting June 1st. So on Sundays are going to be our day that we get the new teachings. So every 2 weeks on a Sunday, you'll get the new teachings. So there's a module each of those Sundays with about 8 or 10 lessons inside, focused on different topics. Then we use those 2 weeks in between to really start to embody that, understand that, apply that to our relationships, work through that, speak about it within the community. So I mentioned before that we have those peer implementation calls where you're doing the work together, having those conversations together, sharing your stories. But then we also have the community, and that is on Facebook. It's a Facebook group where we can connect, just us. So I'm in there as well to answer questions, to support you in between the calls. So you don't have to necessarily save all your questions for when we're on those calls together, on those coaching calls. The coaching calls are really for like what Karen and I were doing, where I can ask a question back and forth, like, okay, tell me about this and tell me about that. So then I can give a better, more precise answer that would be most supportive. The Facebook group is, for things that aren't as deep, but certainly we can try to answer things like that there. What else do I want to tell you about? Then we have the mother-daughter calls, like I was telling you about, where we work on communication and healing together. And so I do a lot of the work that I show you the work that I do with mothers and daughters privately. We'll do those on those calls. That's where we talk about how communicating with each other, building conversation, listening skills. And these are the things that you'll witness together with mother-daughter couples on the call. And then also working through yourself with other women on the call if you're coming alone, which most of you will be. We'll have experts coming in to talk about different topics that I see are not necessarily my specialty, but I know we need it. So talking about codependency, nervous system regulation, different family dynamics, understanding the relationships between parents and adult children, estrangement, coming in, grief, talking about different topics where I think we could just make it more robust and not just about the mother-daughter relationship. And then even though the first module doesn't drop until June 1st, when you come into the library, you have access to every course I've ever taught, every workshop, not to overwhelm you, but to give you access. And because I know when I join something, I'm like, I want to start that minute. As soon as I log in, I want to start listening to you. I want to start understanding what I don't already know. And so I wanted you to have that access, and then it's there too. So if you ask a question, let's say, how do I start conversations with my daughter? Or how do I have deeper conversations with my daughter? Go to the Conversation Starters workshop. It's in your library. We can talk about it, or you can listen to, 40-minute workshop and get all the information there. So you have access to all of those things, as well as things that aren't for sale, like the like Opening Doors is in there. I did a workshop last month called Aligned. That's in there. Mother-Daughter Ease, the one I did in January, the 3-day workshop about the daughter's perspective, like getting inside the daughter's head, getting inside the mom's head, what she needs, how she feels, and then the solutions to the relationship. So there's all kinds of value just waiting for you inside there. And then Becoming is my new signature program. It fills in the gaps of what I feel like I was missing in Hold On to Your Daughter as my work has evolved over the years. Not sure if anyone here had Hold On to Your Daughter. That was always my signature course, but it really just spoke to moms. And I kept noticing the gaps of things I wanted to stick in there. And I've added a lot of lessons, and I just decided I'm redoing this, and I'm going to have, something that's just more elevated and advanced and covers all the areas that I'm hearing that my clients and my students need from me. And so you get to be part of that recording. Everything is organized and written, but because I haven't recorded the future modules, I get to add in as well. So as I get more ideas and hear from you, then that information gets added into Becoming too. Any future workshops I teach, like opening doors or aligned, if I teach new workshops and classes in the future, you're automatically added. You don't have to sign up for it. You don't have to pay anything. You just automatically you get the VIP level, and you're part of the group, part of that learning alongside everybody else. My daughter's happy, enjoys conversing with family and friends, but will sit in the same room with me in silence for long periods of time. When I ask about this, she claims it's her introvert personality, and why don't I know that? If I try to converse, she gives me one-word answers. How do I get her to talk? I'm guessing that is not the history of your relationship. I'm sorry, I don't know your first name. If you're comfortable unmuting, I'll send you. There we go. Hi. Whoops. Hi.
Hi.
What's your first name?
Terry.
Terry?
Yes.
Okay, so not a J. Okay.
I don't know where that came from.
Okay. So is that the history of the relationship, that she's pretty quiet and keeps to herself?
With me, no one else.
Just with you. Okay. So interesting. Okay. Oh, and that is like as far back as you can remember. That's the way she's been, quiet.
Probably only in maybe the last 10, 15 years. She's a mother herself. She has high school kids. She lives in another city than I do. When we try to FaceTime or Skype, whatever she calls it, she always has the boys with her. We can never talk alone. When they come to visit, she's never allows herself to be in a conversation with me. There's other people present. There's no conversation other than, oh, it's so sunny outside, or just small talk with me. But I will observe her interacting with cousins and aunts and uncles, and just being bubbly and very personable. But then there's this shutdown with me, and she has expressed that in years. Probably about 2 years ago, she let me know how I had hurt her and gave me all this information, which I've apologized for and taken responsibility for, but there's been no further discussion about that, which is why I am trying to get to a point where I can broach this topic with her. But this silence is something I don't know how to get past. Yeah. I might ask her, I don't like this relationship, or I would like to work on this relationship. What do you think? And she might respond, fine. Where do I go with that? I get one-word answers, text messages, one-word answers. She doesn't share. I found out they were going to the Netherlands, and I didn't know that they were leaving the country until my son mentioned it, that she had told him. And it's like I don't get information from her. And
Mhm.
I guess I don't know how to get her to engage with me so that we can have these difficult conversations. But she'll tell me I'm just exhausted after being in those active conversations with people. It just wears me out because I'm an introvert, Mom. Don't you know that?
Mm. Yeah, I was wondering if part of this is that that you're the mom, right? Like I was saying before, and we just sort of get the
And I'm a
unpolished
rescuer.
version.
According to the archetype, I'm a
Mm.
rescuer.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay. So yeah, I'm wondering too if it's something about the way you engage with her that she like you're saying like how do I get her to have these conversations with me and immediately my thought was I don't think she wants to have these conversations so she's totally avoiding it, right? But how do we get not even get her to have that conversation with you, but how do we get her to see that having conversations with you, connecting with you, sharing about her life with you doesn't have to feel bad? And it is figuring out what she's avoiding, what reaction she's avoiding, what kind of questions she's avoiding. What is it that is keeping her from coming to you? Or just sending a text and saying, "Hey, we're going to the Netherlands." Like why? Why? What is it that she thinks she's going to get in return? I know you have the same question, but I think that's the work. Is what is it? Not only what is it that she's getting now, but what is it that she needs?
Mm-hmm.
And she will do that with her dad. She will do that with her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can seriously sit in the same space and not a word. And she just always reverts back to, I come home from work, I'm tired, I've had to interact with people all day. But
Mm,
yet her husband will walk into the room and they chatter away. I don't know. It's just like this freeze. I
yeah.
mean, now I've invited myself to come out and visit for a few days this summer, and she says, sure. But I better probably pack a couple books because I don't know what I'm going to be doing. But my
Right.
intention
Well,
is to try and bring this out, to
yeah.
open that door.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if I can find a time to be alone with her, because her direction will be given to anyone else in the room, but not me.
Yeah.
But if she'd even accept the invitation to go on a walk, go have coffee, go do something with just me. But yet she says I can come.
Right. I mean, that's big and that's an opportunity. That's a window for you to climb through and start connecting in a new way. So for me, again, it's not necessarily you getting into these conversations and asking the same questions again. It is how do you engage with her differently? How do you invite her into something different
Mhm.
that feels different? And some of that is understanding, well, what doesn't feel good about this now, which I've already said, right? So I want to share with any of you, um, if you're wondering if becoming is helpful for you or will be helpful, or if we could figure things out based on your like I'm thinking about you, Terry, and like, can you even help me, with this, right? I'm feeling so stuck. I can. It's hard to in the moment because there's so many questions I have about the dynamics, about the history, about things you probably don't want to share in front of 50 people and a recording. So I think that if anyone has any questions about that, applying for becoming allows you to write in here's what's going on for me, here's what I'm struggling with, can you help this? I've gotten some emails from some of you with this too, but like hearing what it is that you're dealing with, that you're unsure of whether this will be the right place for you or whether you're going to learn what you want to learn. Please apply and ask me those questions, and I will be honest with you about this is how we can do it. I can help you, I can't help you. I will tell you if I feel like I'm not the right fit. So that's a really good place for us to get some of those questions answered. I do think for you, Terry, here, I'll put the link for the application. I do think for you that it's about changing the approach. I don't want you to ask more of the same questions that you've already gotten shut down with, because there's a block there. If you're saying that even in the same breath, she can treat somebody else differently, there's a block there for you. And some of that might also not be like she's lacking respect for you, or like it just acknowledging you're a human, right? Who deserves a look in the eye, an answer, right? It really sounds like she's pretty dismissive of you as well. So I want to, without doing it right now, I want to dive into the history and understand why. Where did she learn that? You know, and where does that come from? Molly said, my daughter also did this before I started working with Hillary. It was painful. She does it sometimes now, but it's very short-lived. Doesn't really bother me anymore. I attribute the change in my response to that and doing the work on myself. Amazing, Molly. Yeah, I really do think that if I'm going to show a bad mood to anybody, my mom's going to see it, right? She's that person that I can feel safe with, and you know, and not feel like I've got to watch all my words. I've got to be really careful. And not if my mom was offended by the way I was treating her, I would certainly want her to say something. And also if she knew it was just a fleeting moment, you know, we're in that moment, I'm handling my kids and responding to her, whatever is happening, and she can let it go. That's awesome too. But I do, I'm not sure if I think it's more than that, because it's not fleeting moments. I think she wants something different from you, and you want something different from her too. And like Molly's saying, there's ways for you to invite her just through your behavior, through the way you're engaged with her, through you just shifting the dynamic in the relationship that can invite that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What's the difference, Janice? How many Janices
No.
do we have?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. All right.
No, the reason I'm asking is I'm in Canada. My daughter's in the US. She
Oh,
has
gotcha.
agreed that she would be interested in doing it. So I was just wondering how the structure is. Does the fee that I saw in the application apply to us both together? Or is it for one fee for me, one fee for her?
Okay. It's funny because Janice asked this question earlier. That's why I was
Oh,
like,
well,
Janice,
I
I
just
already
jumped
answered
in.
this
Sorry,
question.
I
Yeah,
went out.
clearly. No, I know. I know you. I can tell you missed it, but it's just
Yeah.
funny, the coincidence in your name too.
Yeah.
Okay. So my answer to her was, if you want to do it together, I'll give you a rate where you could do you each have your own access to the program. You each have access to all the calls. If she was just going to join you on the mother-daughter calls, there's no fee for that. She's welcome to jump in. Those are monthly.
Okay.
But if she wanted to actually be in the program and be coached with you together,
That's what
and
I'm looking at.
do the program, I'll send you a rate for that. That was
you.
something I hadn't come up with yet. So yes, I will send that to you.
Awesome.
If you could send me, if you want to send it to me privately, you can send me your email so I can make sure that gets to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. So I just want to do kind of a grounding practice before we say goodbye, because we talked about a lot. I feel like my energy was like up here, and we talked about a lot of hard things. We answered, questions about the struggles that you're having, and I just want to have you kind of come back to yourself and feel more grounded. So wherever you are, if you could put both feet on the floor, close your eyes. I want you to picture yourself 6 months from now. So between Thanksgiving and Christmas, picture yourself. What does peace feel like in your body? What's happening around you and for you that feels loving? What does connection sound like in your home? in your relationships. And what does it mean for you to trust yourself in your relationship again? No more doubt, confidence, clarity. That woman you're becoming. When you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to yourself and your relationship. I appreciate you. Probably hear from me again in your email. And I will talk to you soon.